Play
Nope.
the intro music. I'll get it. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Recovering Fundamentalist podcast. We're your hosts, Brian Edwards, Nathan Cravat. I'm JC Groves. We're live on YouTube. This is a first.
Fellas.
We've never done this, boys. It just popped up that we're live on YouTube. I'm going to go share this thing with everybody.
This is a little bit scary. Is anybody else scared?
I'm scared.
Yeah. I think we have reason to be afraid, because think about all the people who have made cracks about all the editing we do. And tonight we're either going to prove that true or we're going to prove that to be a lie.
Oh, man.
Here we go.
We even have live chat, guys. This is craziness.
Oh, boy.
So people can ask questions. That would be cool.
I'm absolutely terrified right now. And now we're going to get to see who breathes in the microphone because everybody blames me for doing that. But
hey, Bob,
it's you.
For people to jump on, JC, I just want to point out that you always talk about my age. This weekend, the man who won the PGA is exactly my. So think about it. Me and my age are winners, brother. We're still young. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, I like you are. It. Young at heart. We had a Sunday school class named that. Young at heart, young again. I don't know the password. I'm going to go share this on. Hey, all right. Well, I'm doing this. Well, I'm sharing the password with everybody. Here's what I want. I want to know some stuff from you guys. I want to know, what was your first job? Brian.
First job. You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go. What was your first job?
Is singing really a job?
I don't know.
My first job was and sleeping in hotels and eating dinner at Waffle House at midnight and sleeping till 11 a.m. and getting ready to do it all over again. That was my first job.
That was your first job. All right. I'm sharing this, guys. This is crazy. I'm sharing it to our Facebook group. Nate, what was your first job?
So my first job technically would have been baling hay. Because I lived at the boys' home, and the farmers always came and got boys from the home and paid us as little as possible and worked us as hard as possible. So I did that. But my first real job, what I would have counted like a real job, was a car wash. I worked at a car wash one summer, and dude, talk about working yourself to the bone in the hot summer heat. That was awesome.
Yeah. My first job, I actually had two around the same time. I was a funeral singer. I worked down at Wilson's Funeral Home, and they'd pay me like $25 to $50 an hour, and I would sing at funerals. Like for people that showed up, Mary Jo would be back there playing the piano, and I'd sing,
"No way.
Come to the garden alone." I mean, it was hilarious, but yeah. And then the other thing,
you don't know this, but David Wilson is a dear friend of mine. His dad,
is he really?
Leroy, and his mom Glenda own the funeral home, and David is one of the owners now. But yeah, they are very good friends of ours.
Well, that was my first job. And let me tell you the other part. Go ahead, Brian.
This is an opportunity for a new movie because they made a movie, The Wedding Singer.
Yeah,
the funeral singer.
It's like part 2, the sequel.
Exactly.
That's hilarious. The other part of that, this was my favorite job. I've always loved like airplanes and stuff like that. I worked down at the Chattanooga airport at the Crystal Aviation, and I would send Bowers King Airs, and man, it was incredible. I'd start on Thursday, I'd clean it, but you couldn't use pressure washer. I had to use Windex and washcloths to wash his entire King Air 3000 or 300. I don't know what it was, but it was a great job. I was sitting in the hangar, the Blue Angels would fly by. I loved it. That was my job. So
that's awesome.
All right, here, hey, Mark Lowry is in the chat, guys. Hey, Mark Lowry.
What is up, Marty?
What's up, buddy?
Let's see who else we got in here. We got Mark, we got Elisa, we got Kate, we got Mark all the way from out yonder. This is awesome. We got 24 people watching. This is terrifying, guys, but I love it. It's great. Here's another question for you. What is one animal that you could knock out with one punch?
Okay,
there's a little echo for you.
I think
Brian,
that I could probably knock out. Okay, I was gonna say a goat, but this week I saw in person and they've got that weird looking head and that really long neck. And so I think if I the right hook and I could get that long old neck to whip, I think I could knock out a llama.
You ever been spat on? Spat, King James word. You ever been spit on by a llama?
JC, when have you been close enough to a llama?
So we went to some petting zoo, some Christmas thing somewhere in Georgia, Christmas time, and this llama walked right up and spit right on me. I was like, what is this?
Well, see, I said I saw a llama. I didn't say I wanted to have a personal relationship. But so no, I've never been spat upon by a llama.
So Brian can knock out a spatting llama. All right, Nate, what about you? One punch. That's all you get.
Dude, I'm gonna have to say, I think I can take a kangaroo. Because I have a video of dude
that's exactly right.
In Australia that went out there and boxed this kangaroo. That guy's my favorite guy in the history of guys. Like all-time favorite man on the planet is that dude, whoever he is.
Did you see why he did it though? Because the kangaroo had his dog in a headlock.
Yeah,
and he runs out there. Boom! One punch right to the head. He
did you see the biceps on that kangaroo, dude?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's got a little cussing, but have you ever seen Aussie Man do commentary of that video? You need to Google Aussie.
I love the disclaimer there. So
yeah, it has a lot of cussing. You need to watch Aussie Man doing the commentary of that video. It's hilarious. Well, I don't know what I'd knock out now because I was going to say the kangaroo. We didn't talk about this beforehand, obviously.
Sorry,
let's
man.
See.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I think like Kate Ritchie said on here, I think I could knock out a miniature horse. She said she has a miniature horse on there. Listen, I saw a video the other day. I got stuck in this weird YouTube vortex and I could not stop watching these videos. Ask my wife. I'll lay in bed and just start watching YouTube videos. But there is a show or a YouTube channel that they have horses and then they have two miniature horses, and one of the miniature horses is in love with this big massive horse, and when they let it out of the pen, that horse will scream as it's chasing after this big horse. And I was like, man, I just punched that horse right, that little mini horse right in the face. I think I could do that. You know, Brian has a background with miniature horses. He was riding one, man, he thought he was going to die. That thing was bucking him all over. Thank God the manager of Walmart came out and unplugged it real quick.
Hey, JC.
I just used a George Yance joke on the podcast right there.
Well, here's my question. Did I tell you about the dream I had about you the other night?
No, you had a dream about me?
Wow.
I did. I dreamed you were riding in this car together. We were going through the mountains and we were having the best time in the curve. All at once, you lost control. We wrecked and we both died at the same time. And we were walking all of our on have to walk all the way, and the gate got in sight, and I got tired. And Nathan,
of course,
sweetheart that he is, he said, "Brian, you just get on my back, and I'm going to carry you the rest of the way." Well, we finally reached the pearly gate, and when we did, Peter swung it open. He said, "Brian Edwards, it is so good to see you. Anywhere and come on in."
Oh man, I love it.
That's a Jim. Hey, that's a Jim Hamill joke.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I got another George one because
I think that's my joke you've ever told, dude. I love it.
That might be the funniest thing you've ever said, except for my hair went all the way down my back to my butt crack or something like that.
No, I said my hairline made a beeline for my butt.
I love that one. So I turned 38 tomorrow, and I thought my hearing was kind of going away, and I went to the doctor, and I was like, "Doc, something is not right. My wife's hearing is going away." And he said, "Here's what you do. You stand on one side of the room, you ask her a question. If she doesn't answer, you scoot a little bit closer. You ask her a question. If she doesn't hear you, scoot a little bit closer." So I got home, walked in. I said, "Dinner about ready, hun?" Didn't hear anything. Got to the middle of the kitchen. I was like, "Dinner about ready, hun?" Still didn't hear anything. Got right behind her. I said, "Hey, dinner about ready, hun?" She swung around, said for the third time, "Yes."
That's a good one.
Yeah. My wife doesn't know that. My wife came in the other day and said, "Babe, we got water in the carburetor." I said, "Carburetor? You don't know the carburetor from the steering wheel. Where's the car?" She said, "In the swimming pool." Listen. I have every George Yance joke memorized in my brain. Mark Larry, how many times have you heard George Yance tell those jokes? Come on. That's hilarious.
Man.
Well, you know,
I'm
trying to laugh and be in good spirits, but today I drove through the state of West Virginia, and I don't know if you heard about the tragedy or not.
What?
It really just the governor's mansion burned
still-
down. No, the governor's mansion burned down, burned all the way to the.
We're live. We can't
have any
list.
We have any listeners in Virginia? We're gonna them.
Hey, no, it was a West
man.
Virginia pastor that told me that.
Oh, Katie said, I thought Brian was the dad joke. Oh, man, this is incredible. This is too cool. Oh, somebody said, yo, guys, I'm watching on Roku.
There you go, Phil
Awesome.
Kidd.
Check that, Phil.
Nathaniel Beasley.
Hey, this is my water. I'm down in it. All right, I can't look at the chat because I'm already distracted. Brian, you have been in the car for a
real.
long time today. What have you been doing this weekend? You've been getting some speaking engagements, man. Tell us about your weekend.
Yeah, you know what? It was absolutely amazing. I was this morning before daylight. I was 1 hour from the Canadian border, all the way up in Michigan, and got in the and only stopped a couple of times to grab a bite to eat, get fuel, and go. And I just pulled in the driveway a little bit ago. So I've been in a car today for over 13 hours, probably getting close to 14 hours. And but it was worth it. Let me tell you why, guys. You know, whenever I meet a recovering that made the journey and is now thriving, not as a recovering fundamentalist, in ministry as a follower of Jesus and a preacher of the gospel and a preacher of the word. And this weekend I had the Pastor Josh and the entire pastoral staff at the River Church there in Michigan, and they are doing an absolutely incredible work. Now they're having several thousand people a weekend across multiple locations.
Awesome.
To see their pastors get together and just serve Jesus together, and the way they get along, it's obvious that their heart and their passions for Jesus Christ. And then last night, check this out, I had the chance at their men's event. There was over 600 men in that room.
Awesome.
And,
Wow.
It was absolutely amazing. Hey, true story. JC, last night, Pastor Josh reminded me of you. They did this game called the Wheel of Unfortunate. And you would spin the wheel, and all the pastors had to be involved in this game. And whatever it landed on, you had to do this very thing that would be growth. Fortunate. Well, the thing that landed on the pastor was this. He was going to have to drink Coke out of a boot.
Now,
But what they didn't tell him was they got the boot from their community store. They didn't even know whose feet had been in this boot. This thing was old and nasty, but
nope.
So I'm back there. You guys know me, how weak in the stomach I am. So I'm back there heaving and gagging, just watching him getting ready to do it. Check this out, JC. He put the Coke in the boot, turned it up, and started drinking, and stopped and made this hideous face and reached in his mouth and started pulling hair out of his mouth, where old hair in that boot. And I'm telling you what, guys, I almost lost it. I wouldn't do that for a men's event. It wouldn't matter how many men were going to show up. You just have to watch a Billy Graham crusade or something. You're not going to get the gospel from me.
I don't do feet, man. I was flying to Texas a couple years ago, and I looked down next to the lady I was on. I leaned forward, looked down, and she had those corn chip toenails. They were kind of curling over. I thought I was gonna lose it. I was like, "Oh heck no! I don't do feet. I don't do feet." Larry Brown, I don't know how that guy massages each toe and kisses the end. I can't do feet. No. Oh my gosh.
Well, anyway,
man.
let me get back to something good here now that you've told that
Please.
story. By the way, you meant the flight. Well, JC, you meant the
Everybody's
flight.
like, I just about puked.
Well, listen, I'm trying to help you. You meant the flight you were on. Go back and listen to how you just misspoke. You'll appreciate that I pointed that out.
What'd I say?
You said the lady.
Oh, God.
You really did.
We can't edit this, guys.
No.
Bill
So I'm
Reed
just-
will have fun with that one.
I'm just letting everybody know the flight.
I was on a
But-
flight.
Yes. So anyway, the great news was I had a chance to preach the word and ministry thriving. And so I just want to say this to every single person who's listening. So many of you ask, can I leave fundamentalism and still make it? Can I leave fundamentalism and still be in ministry? Can I leave fundamentalism and still thrive? Good news is all the pastors at the River Church are a huge exclamation point behind the word yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you
Awesome.
can.
Guys, you know what's
Also
awesome
met some
right
RFP fans there, man.
That's awesome.
We have in Michigan who are loving it. They were great guys, and
Hey,
that was really
speaking of
encouraging.
Michigan, we've got IFB Sasquatch on Twitter has reached out. I think Nate and I have been talking to him. There's a ton of folks up in the Detroit area, and they're doing an RFP meetup and getting together and kind of going to start. That's what we're about, is the community, and these guys are getting together and starting their community. I know Daniel Wynn has talked about doing that down in Texas. We've had some folks out on the West Coast that are like, hey, that's what we want. Listen, the RFP fam is not us three. The RFP fam is all of us. It's the 50 plus people that are on the chat. In fact, IFB Sermon Clips is in the chat right now. This is proof. It is none of us. None of us are doing it right now.
Two you paying to do for you, Brian?
Man, that's the way I roll.
Oh
He's
my
got
gosh!
Right in the room doing his account.
That's what it is. That's what it is. We got some speaking engagements coming up. I know, Nick, you're actually preaching at a revival this summer, aren't you?
Yeah, got a revival here in South Carolina. I'll be talking more about that as we get a little bit closer to that. That's in September, and it's part of the RFP fam. It's going to be amazing. A couple other reviews, so things going on.
That's cool.
What about you, JC?
I'm headed up to Scroon Lake, New York. So 21 years ago, I was a boat driver at Word of Life Island in Scroon Lake, New York. And I'm telling y'all, Word of Life, I don't know if you've looked them up lately. It is almost a totally different place up there now. And Tommy Seawall is over the island, and he reached out and asked if I'd come back. I remember 21 years ago as a kid, literally, I was getting ready to start my freshman year in college. And I was like, God, I would love to come back here and preach someday. And here we are this summer. I get to fly up there the week of 4th of July and preach in Scroon Lake, New York. So if you have a youth group and you're looking for a summer camp this summer and you're in the North region, man, we'd love to have you go to Word of Life Island and register to come and be with us at camp. I'm fired up about that. It's going to be good.
Hey, it's a small world, JC. Do you realize when I was in high school, I lost a girlfriend to that summer camp?
Wow. Really?
Never let your girlfriend go to summer camp and get a summer camp job, because she found a boyfriend within 2 or 3 weeks. But the good news was I found somebody else that summer too. So we kind of had that phone conversation where we were like, yeah, I think I might be talking to someone. I think I might be talking to someone too. But every time I hear about that camp, I'm like, yep, change the direction of my life. Praise the Lord it did, because I met Carrie.
What was her name?
I'm not going to say.
Hey,
maybe
true story, guys. True story. One of the worst whippings I ever got was when I was a teenager. We were singing at a youth camp where my dad was preaching, and a lady went and told my dad that they saw me kissing a girl, and that I was being a bad influence on all the other teenagers, and that my dad needed to deal with me. So didn't know what was going on, didn't know why I was getting a whipping, but I got a whip. Who I actually kissed, my 12-year-old cousin went to the camp with us, and I was walking her back to her room, and she gave me a hug, and I kissed her on the cheek before she went to her room. So girls in youth camp make me, I kind of start twitching and jittering, because I still go back to the good old days.
Good days.
You just made fun of West Virginia, and then you dropped that story. Come on, Brian.
Kissed his.
Yep.
Oh, goodness.
Hey, to pick on Brian just a little bit more, he picked the one animal that he thought he could knock out that actually just passes out, walk up to it, a goat. Easiest world to knock Brian. Come on.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Hey, and you know what? That's about where I am at this point in life. So there you go. Hey, here's what's funny, Nathan. I would walk up to the goat and we would both pass. That's where I am.
Oh goodness. Hey, we don't want to go
in those videos. Those
screaming goats. I love screaming goats. Have you seen the one where
they're awesome too? Especially mix it with a Taylor Swift song.
Dude, you keep taking the words out of my mouth.
Yes.
Gosh. When she's singing Trouble, and I love it.
I love it.
Love it.
Y'all go to baseball games together. Y'all finish each other's. Is like the RFP thing is making y'all like onesies.
Listen, me and Nate have been best friends for a long time. RFP is just making us one. That's what it is. We can't edit this out either. So here we go. Listen, me and Nathan just went to the best Braves game I have ever been to in my life.
Yeah. There's no such thing as a good baseball game.
It was incredible.
Every hit that they did, the crowd thought it was going to be a home run. They set MLB history, 7 home runs and 2 grand slams. It was over 2,700 feet of home runs. That's like a half a mile worth of home runs. They were freaking on fire.
Incredible.
You know what's amazing? Baseball. This morning, before I left Michigan, I watched the first inning of a game, got home over 13 hours later and turned on the television, and they were finally in the 7th inning.
Hey, somebody just said
there was only one inning. Go ahead, Jesse. There was only one inning that we did not score. I just had to throw that out there. The Braves scored every other inning, all except for one. Go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah, they did. This delay is killing me.
Yes, it is.
Just said, has anybody noticed that Nathan is surrounded by a hedge of protection?
Yes, I am.
That just shows that your Mother's Day photo booth is still set up.
What did you do? Did you nail greener?
No, this is a professional photo booth. Chad Campbell don't play, man. When he sets up photo booths for the church, you just need to go on the church Facebook. They are awesome. So this is still on the wall.
I thought you had some drunks come and lay carpet, and they got confused about the floor and the wall.
No, man, this is an official Ivy wall. It's
there
amazing.
It is. There it is. Brian's back. We're good. All right. Hey, we don't want to go any further in this episode without thanking Free Life Soap. You can check them out today by going to recoveringfundamentalist.org. Click on the promo tab, Free Life Soap. Use your promo code RFP and get 20% off of your order when you do that. Have y'all gotten your shipment in yet?
I haven't.
Miss McCribbin
hasn't told me about it.
Well, she texted me. She texted me and said that it's on the way, and she's sending me extra of the Coastal because it's my absolute favorite.
And because
smells
you're
like
JC.
the ocean.
So, but here's the thing. I met a guy who not only listens to the RFP, by the way, he was recently a fundamentalist pastor, saw the faults and made the exit, made a clean break. It was so awesome to talk to him. Man, that guy had so much joy about him. But guess what? He is now a user of Free Life Soap.
Come on.
Woo! Come on. Yeah.
It's life-changing for him.
I need to reach out to Miss McCribbin and see if she's had any orders from Bill or, any of these guys that knock it. Because they're like, man, this stuff must be really amazing. Let's try it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Brian, did you know that at the Braves game, we had multiple RFP fam there that we got to connect with? How cool is that? We didn't tell anybody we were going.
Well, the other day, my wife and I went to the Ark Encounter in Kentucky.
Oh,
yeah, I've heard about it.
Yep.
And I told my wife on the way, I said, I wore my RFP T-shirt and advertised a little bit around all these Christians. And then when we got there, any cool lot dress wears there were, I was glad I didn't wear the T-shirt because I probably would have gotten attacked. I was like, man, it was for my own good that I didn't wear it.
We went all the way up to the section 428 to see one of our buddies that's going to be on an episode here in a couple of weeks with us. Actually, we've never met in person, but he said it's just not working out too well with my son. They went and walked all over. I think it was 7th inning. He finally said, "We're just going to leave. I hope the game's great." I was like, "Dude, you just missed the best game ever." I was at the Sid Green slide game, and he skipped out on this one.
Listen, it's hard for a kid to sit for 12 and a half hours.
I did it. I'm just kidding.
What at home, Jason? At like 1.
Dude. All right. So me and Andrew Wiggins. Y'all have seen Andrew Wiggins if you're in the RFP group page. He's the one that redid the Garth Brooks song. We left. We stayed and watched the fireworks after the game. Donna, Georgia. We sat in traffic about an hour. I pulled into my parking lot, my driveway at 3:57 a.m.
Wow.
Ever since we moved to South Georgia, man, we used to be able to make it to the Braves game in like an hour and 15 minutes, and now it takes 4.5 hours to get there, but it's all good. It's all good. Hey, speaking of traveling, we've got 2 exciting days coming up that I'm fired up about.
We do.
We have our RFP meetups that are coming up that we're going to be able to be at and meet a bunch of our friends that are in the chat right now, those that are watching on the RFP fam page, those that are on Twitter. This is just going to be an opportunity for us to put faces with names. And as somebody just said, I love seeing the facial expressions. We want to see your facial expressions, all right? We want to see your face. We don't want to see your face and what you tweet and things like that. And so we've got 2 of them that are coming up. One's going to be right here in Statesboro, Georgia. I got to travel a long way for that one. It's going to be right here in Statesboro, Georgia. We've actually had to switch the location, but it's for the better. So, you know, we were going to do the one here at my church, but they've double booked on us. I got the boot. Imagine that. And so we're going down to the TMT or TMN Farms. I don't know what it is, but it's actually a pretty cool place. I mean, we've got a pavilion that we're going to be able to eat at. We've got the food being catered in. Right across the driveway, there's a little chapel that'll seat about 100 people. It's called the Church in the Wildwood. So we're going to sing that church in the Wildwood, in the Dale. What is in the Dale?
I think a Dale must have been like a green meadow.
No, a Dale is hello from the other side. That's a Dale. Sorry.
Bless him, Lord.
Oh, man.
We're live. I forgot.
Lord.
We edit. Okay. It's a squirrel moment. But we're going to be doing that. And here's what I'm excited about at this meetup is that the Wiggins and the Van Gillers, they're going to lead us in some singing. I think we've got somebody coming and going to kind of do a word for us. Nate, you want to talk about that?
I'm sorry. I was reading the comments. What did you just say, JC? I have no idea what you just said.
I was talking about the meetup, and we got the Wiggins and Van Gillers going to come sing, and then you want to talk about the speaker, like who's going to be coming and talking.
Gamble coming to give us a charge. He's going to speak to the RFP fam. It is going to be incredible. I get the privilege of hearing Chad Gamble preach almost every Sunday, but you guys do not want to meet this. He's RFP fam. He and Brittany. Now, their daughter has, I think, a birthday party the day before, so I'm not sure if she's going to be there. Brittany, a little pressure on you. I hope you can make it, but if not, we're excited about Chad being there, and my wife's going to be there. My girl's probably going to be there. So it's going to be awesome. I'm excited about the fire pit. You should FaceTime me when you're out there walking around. I'm looking forward to hanging out afterwards at the fire pit. That's going to be awesome.
Because nothing says awesome like a South Georgia fire pit in the middle of June.
Come on, baby.
We're going to burn it.
You'll need to do an invitation
we ain't
after
going
that.
to hell, but bless God, we're going to be close to it. Oh, man.
Hey,
Nate,
I got an idea.
Do y'all have gnats in Anderson?
No,
not yet.
In your area, you have buzzard gnats.
Dude, these gnats are blood-sucking gnats. They will go in your nose, in your ear. People told me, they said we the gnat line, and I've not experienced it until it's like they all just came out today, dude. You drive down the road, and it's just gnats everywhere. We got a restaurant here called Gnats. I like to call them Gnats because it's G-N-A.
Gnats.
Gnats.
Yep.
Sorry. What are we talking about right now?
That's off of VeggieTales. He always says gnats. I do that, and people are like, the D is silent.
Yeah,
VeggieTales. All right, tell the truth.
Brian.
When your kids were watching, did you watch? Yes or no? Tell the truth.
Hey,
yes,
we
of
watched
course I watched
this week. We watched it this week.
Another lonely day. I got a video that I got to show you guys of my boy. When we moved back to Chattanooga from Utah, Caden, he was sitting in our room. He goes, another lonely day in a crowded town. Oh, yeah. And it's the greatest video ever. I watch it all the time. It makes me tear up because he's growing up.
So I got to ask you a question. You started asking questions a moment ago, so I get to ask a question. What is your favorite VeggieTales song of all times?
No hair for my hairbrush. Oh, where is my hairbrush?
Mine is the
I don't know.
Pirate song.
Sing a little bit. You got to give us a little bit of it.
Pirates, anything. That's the awesomest song ever. I love it.
See,
right.
And I
VeggieTales-
really love the Daniel song. That one is really good.
The bunny.
Okay. VeggieTales is a little too liberal.
Yeah, it
We
is.
gotta
gotta-
go with Patch the Pirate. Have you seen a wiggle worm smaller than a tiny germ?
Tiny
He
germ.
has got
I
a
love that
great
one
big
too.
appetite.
I gotta
He
give
is
you
a
my
very
favorite
big-
songs.
Nobody cares. He eats more than
What
any.
is it?
I'm kidding. Go on, bro.
So my two favorite VeggieTales songs of all times is Barbara Manatee, 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 you are the one for me. All right, and then my
You sure
other
that's
one.
not
That's
Lady
good.
Gaga?
No, my other one
Okay.
is You're my cheeseburger.
My
I
only
love that one.
cheeseburger.
Yeah.
I love for you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great song.
That's
That really
awesome.
Yeah,
Lost me. That
Nathaniel
used to move me.
Beasley just said the Daniel song is actually the "Oh no, what you gonna do? The king likes Daniel more than me and you. Oh no,
Yeah, I remember
what
that
you
one.
gonna do? Gotta get him out of here. Boom, boom, boom. I love that one. That song
I
is
thought you
awesome.
meant-
By the way, are y'all like watching the live stream? I
Yeah,
don't
this is
even think we
crazy.
need to be on here. They're like having their own party over here without us. This is incredible.
It's Brian's advisor sitting across from him. IFB Preacher Clips
Their-
keeping the
Their
conversation going.
content is better than our content.
Well, listen,
The
I'm just
comments are better. Hey, JC, let's
Oh, there's my
go ahead,
mom.
Brian.
Hey, I'm just going to tell you this real quick. If I knew clips, I would probably think he's one of the most awesome guys. Think he has impeccable taste for the right preacher clips to choose. I would think that he is intelligent and very kind, and he cares enough about the church to do the church a service. If
He
I
just-
only knew this guy.
Figmog just said
It's-
Bill Reeves does. Bill Reeves does
it's
not approve
gotta
of
be
this
you,
message. This delay is killing me.
Hey,
Um,
yeah. Your mom
hey,
just
there's
had to sing Happy Birthday to you.
no, you don't have to.
Yes, we
You
do.
know, all right.
Brian, are you ready?
No, you don't have to.
All right,
There's
go
a
ahead.
delay, but I know how this is going to work. Brian, you need to lead it, and I'll try to jump in on some harmonies, but it's not going to work.
Okay. All right, here we go. You ready?
Yes.
Happy birthday, to
Birthday
you.
to you.
Well, this is horrible.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy. Come on.
Oh,
I can't. Oh,
so bad.
Hey, dear JC. Did I change the key?
JC.
Happy
Wow.
birthday to you. Can't wait to
Somebody.
without the
it's, I can tell you this. Somebody just said Brian's internet is as old as he is.
Hey, it's a good thing we're live, or I would say about that person what I really think.
I love that person.
Said that. Oh my goodness.
Oh
Brian
god,
said- that was Big Mod. Way to go.
man.
Awesome.
Oh man,
Is my
Lord.
internet not working good? Because it seems like it's working great.
it is.
I think it's a delay for the live because we're live because we never have this problem.
Said it sounds like words are being censored in "Happy Birthday." Oh, this is too good.
Oh,
My
man.
ADD
Hey,
cannot
JT.
handle talking to you guys and looking at the chat at the same time.
I
I'm
know
like,
it's awesome, but the comments are so good. But here's what I want to do. Let's take some questions from. Let's let them ask us some questions, just totally on the spot. You can ask a question to all three of us or any one of
but-
the three of us.
all right. So we'll,
Hey,
we'll
hold
look
it, hold
back-
it, hold it. I have a question. How are you watching this live? I'm trying to figure this out, and I don't know how.
I'm not surprised you can't figure it out.
I can't.
Open up YouTube on your phone and go
Oh,
to live
YouTube.
chat.
I
Yeah,
thought it was on.
YouTube.
I thought it was on the RFP page. Okay.
Wheels are spinning, but the hamster's dead.
Somebody
Nate's
says cutting out a lot.
We're doing a lot of cussing. Hey, I want to give Sam Jones a shout out. Sam, hope you're doing better. I hadn't checked on him in a while. He had back surgery a while back, but he actually is on the Southern Gospel Station here in town. And every once in a while, I'll click over there and I'll hear Sam Jones's voice. But there's somebody else I just saw on here, Gary. He's up in I can't say his last name. Michalski.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, he's up in Canada, and dude, they have been on quarantine for over a year. Like he was telling me the other day,
pastors are being arrested up there.
Yeah, man, that's craziness up there. Gary, we're praying for you, buddy, for sure. Hey, we forgot what?
Guess who I had lunch with last week?
Oh,
Sam Jones.
Did you really?
He lives in Anderson. Absolutely. Actually, I think he lives in Greenville, but yep.
That's awesome.
Hey, a second. I have to declare that I am offended. Because
now
said Nathan equals AOL. Brian equals net zero. That's not even right.
Oh, I love it. Oh, hey, all right. So we've talked about the meetup happening here in Statesboro on June the 4th. We got another one coming up August 26th, 27th, and 28th. It's a Thursday night, all day Friday, and then in Saturday morning. Man, this is going to be up in Bourbon, Missouri. And boys, I'm fired up about this. Tate Greer Music, who's in the chat. Surprise, Tate, you're going to be doing some music for us. And,
what's up, Tate?
Yeah, Dudley volunteered you, but Matt's going to be bringing some messages. We've got other podcasts that are on the RFP network that are going to be up there. And I was on the For Freedom podcast last week. They're planning on doing a live episode up there. I know RFWP is going to do one. I think Church Split, they need to come down and do one. I think that'd be pretty cool. Who else is on there that we need to get up there? I couldn't even
get Will to drive 2 hours. He does have a new, and so I'm going to let him off the hook. But Will, if you're
thing he said, I couldn't even get him to drive 2 hours.
Yeah, Will, if you're listening to this, I have to be honest. I was thinking, if my name was Nathan Cravat, but I still love you.
Somebody said, would Brian Edwards wear a John Hamlin hat instead?
Dude, we need to order him one.
Oh, we do. We'll send him an honorary doctorate, and we can get him to send us a hat.
Yeah. I'll make a video of me filling it full of lighter fluid and lighting it up.
Oh, my gosh. We're live. But Bourbon, Missouri. Let's get back to that. This is going to be awesome. We're putting together the plan. This is going to be 3 days, actually a day and a half of just being able to hang out. And, there's something about like going to church camp, about hanging out, like just being around people like that our time in Vegas at the Idea Summit, getting to hang out with so many of our friends, man, we felt so much closer. Like the Ferraris, they're coming down here to Statesboro towards the end of July and just hanging out with us. Like they're coming to vacation, and we met them in Vegas. And, that's what this community is about. Life is not meant to be lived alone. It is so much better in the context of community. And this movement known as the RFP, man, we're creating community, and we've got little communities that are popping up all over the place. And so I would love for you to do that. I see Philip in the chat, and it's something that we have just released out on the Recovering Fundamentalist podcast is something we get all the time, guys, is like, hey, do you have a church that you would recommend in this city? Do you have a church that you would recommend in this city? And we don't, except we do now. And if it's not in your city, it's coming. And what I love, Philip and a bunch of these other guys have put together the church list of churches. They're going in, reading their websites, looking at them, approving them. If they are churches that would fit within the parameter, I guess you could say, of what the Recovering Fundamentalist podcast would approve of, like places we would send people to. And man, I know this week we've heard already from 3 folks that found a church on that website, and they went to that church this past weekend. And that's exciting right there, boys.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, you know what I love about the RFP fam? It's about the gospel.
Yeah.
By the gospel of Jesus Christ, because there are people in the RFP fam who represent places spiritually, people who still hold different standards, and people who have different convictions. We have are just fresh out of fundamentalism, and they still have a lot of those convictions, and may have those convictions until and if they do, to God be the glory. There are other people who've been out of fundamentalism for a long time, and maybe their life and some of their freedoms would look completely different. But isn't that the gospel of Jesus Christ brings us together, and we're not offended by the fact some people are different than other people. We're just brought together by the gospel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really felt this week like, go ahead, Nate.
Now, I was just going to say we have a bunch of conversations with people on all sorts of different topics. I had the opportunity to talk to a fellow that I will allow to remain anonymous, who spoke to someone really close to him and his family this week, and important conversation that didn't really even go that well, but he was able to talk with me about it and try to give him some wise counsel, and took him back to scripture multiple times. But the conversation I have more than any other are people asking me about changes that they're making. And the advice I always give them is go back to God's word. You don't have to know how to navigate things on your own. Go to God's word, and that's our standard. So these people that are out there, I know some of you are watching this, in the background doing all sorts
trying to figure out what the heck
things.
he's doing.
So our haters that are watching this,
Brian, we are recording an episode, Brian. What the heck? Hey, buddy.
can't
Welcome
even
back.
hear us.
What's up?
Hey, we're live, by the way. I don't know if you forgot.
Oh, that's right. Hey, I've been in a car for over 13 hours.
Just got up and left.
No, the truth is, I actually had to go get a tissue because Figmog is after me. Like
He
I
is
don't
tearing
even
you
get
up.
it.
I love it.
What have I ever done to you?
Man.
Hey, one more crack. It's going to be funny when I accidentally.
Oh, exactly.
Never
goodness.
mess with the guy with the microphone.
Oh, man.
Hey, by the way, let me tell you a great story.
Brian
Can I tell you a
Townsend's
great
not
story
the
real
cat.
quick?
Oh, go ahead, Delay.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a story? Can I tell you a story? Can I tell you a story? Can I tell you a story?
I'm trying. Several years ago, talking about messing with the guy with the microphone, we had a guy in the church who was giving me a lot of trouble, and for some reason, he just really set himself against me. And we had this big special occasion, and there was a massive crowd, and he saw that as his opportunity, and so he was actually dishonest, and he went up and said, "I'm supposed to introduce Pastor Brian." And so he went up and with the microphone in front of everybody, he tried to slice and dice me the best he could. But the audience just sat there in complete silence. Nobody laughed. And so when I walked up and he was handing me the microphone, the guy didn't understand how microphones worked. And so he said to me, "What did you think about that?" Well, when he said that, yeah, go ahead and talk on the phone, JC. I'm just over here telling you a story. It doesn't even matter. Just do whatever it is you're going to do.
I'm listening, Brian. Keep going. Keep going.
So anyway, so the guy hands me the microphone and he said, "So what do you think about that?" So I said, "Well, you want to know what I think about that? Balaam had one, and apparently I have one, and now I know who that one is." And dude, the crowd lost it. So I just want to say to Figmog, I'm not above using the power of the microphone.
Power of the microphone.
Sorry, guys. I called.
Great, JC.
No, I heard it. I was telling Brian Townsend to get on. Where's he at? He's on a date. He's got a lady now. So
Yep.
that's it. What'd you talk about? I heard. Was that the second jackass story you've told tonight?
God is still doing miracles.
Oh, okay.
Still.
He is. I told him that he should get married at one of our meetups.
Yes, I'm sure she would think that's a great idea.
Yeah, JC, what a brilliant idea.
I'd do it. Hey, something pretty cool this week. Speaking of Brian's, so a couple years ago, I had the opportunity to meet a dude named Brian Drake, who is an illusionist. This dude was on tour with New Song with the Winter Jam tour, and this guy is awesome. I asked him.
Was he able to make New Song look young?
Yeah, hang on a second. Brian Townsend, what's up?
So I'm on the page. Where do I go?
Click on the YouTube channel.
Hey, you better tell him he's on speakerphone.
You're on speakerphone on the podcast right now. Just go to the YouTube page, Recovering Fundamentalist. Click on the live video. Bye. All right. I guess I need to leave here in a minute. Anyhow, I'll tell you, Brian. Brian Drake is a pretty cool dude. He's an illusionist. And I was like, this guy has to be a homeschool graduate. And you jackwagon. And he loves the RFP. He's an illusionist. This guy is awesome. You need to go check him out when we get done with this live. It's briandrake.com. No, just a shout out, not a sponsor, not whatever. I hope he does all Christian stuff. I don't really know what he's doing now.
And
But he's
I can
a great
say
guy.
this. I wish he would do the same thing for me, because I wish I could have 4 people. That would be absolutely awesome.
Huh?
You said he toured with New Song. I'm just saying
Oh,
he took 4 people and made them sound like a choir. That's a pretty amazing illusion.
It took me a second to figure out. Arise, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh man. Hey guys, let's talk about this a little bit, because I think there's some folks that think we're joking and we're not really serious about this. But this past week we put out a picture that said, coming in 2022, the RFP camp meeting. And I think folks thought it was a joke. Like, I think a lot of people thought it was making fun of the IFB and camp meeting and things like that. We're serious. Like, this is legitimately happening.
It's going to
Yeah.
happen.
It's going to be incredible.
Hey, by the way, I love that people are asking me as if I know how to comment back. That's really awesome.
No, you talk. You answer their questions with your voice. You don't have to.
No, I was not
Man, I love
making
those
out.
people.
I was not making out with JC a few minutes ago was talking on his phone during my story. And so I was just doing to others as they had.
Jeff
Oh,
Swar,
man.
Jeff Swar. Hey, bro. Appreciate you, man. Have a good night. Stephen Gilbreth, listen, you want to speak of a hip hop artist? That dude right there is dropping some sick beats, yo. Shit.
Yes, he is.
No cap. No cap. I have no idea what I just said. Who's going to be preaching? That's a good question. So here's what we're doing.
Yes.
This is what I love about being in the RFP right now. We just talk, come up with some ideas, send it over to Justin Knight, and he makes it happen. So Justin knows when I call him, and I'm like, hey, dude, we had an idea. He's like, all right, what are we doing now? But this was an idea the other day. We were talking with Dudley. We're like, we need to do a camp meeting and do it like 3 nights. We've got some musicians, some singers that are being lined up. Hello, Ball Brothers, Joseph Habedank. There's some guys that are lining up.
Shout out.
Danny Goki. There's some guys that are lining up to come and sing. And then we thought, we got some good preachers in this RFP fam.
Yeah.
And I think we need to do maybe 3 nights with 2 preachers a night. And let's
It's a surprise. We're not going to announce that.
definitely. I'm not going to talk about
Definitely.
those, but
By the way, I talked to a guy last night who just shot basketball last week with Danny Goki.
will you
Very
sign my
cool.
He's a
Bible?
great guy.
That's cool. What was I going to say about this? Oh, crap. I have no idea what I was saying.
Hey, getting back to what I was saying, we were going to let people ask questions, and then we just never did. So
Well, nobody
we
asked a
needed to take
question.
some live questions. I
Brian
think a few
Townsend's
people
in the
did.
chat, everybody. He said, can I preach at the camp meeting? My last name is Townsend. Oh,
It's
boy.
only right.
Oh, everybody. Oh, Aaron Sparks said, oh my gosh, Papa, you make this live worth watching. I love you, Brian.
Listen, he
I'm
shouldn't
sorry.
talk about you like that. You're not that old, JC, just because you're having a birthday.
It's a she.
Okay.
Preaching competition. There we go. No, we're not doing that. Oh, it's gonna be fun. I don't see a question. Do you see a question?
Does anybody have a question for us?
Oh,
By
man.
the way, we need to do some cowbell sermons. Remember, you ring the cowbell and they run up and get 10 minutes. And as soon as their 10 minutes is over, you ring the cowbell and somebody else
That's where
runs up.
preachers are called from the floor. Come on.
Yeah. Hey, I have a question for you two. What was the first sermon you ever preached? Do you remember it?
Yes.
I remember mine.
I
I preached.
It took me 7 minutes.
Mine was 6 minutes. I surrendered to preach on a Thursday night. No, on a Tuesday night at camp meeting at Temple Baptist Church. Dr. Tim Lee, shout out, was preaching, and I said, I'm supposed to do this. I went down. I said, Doc, I'm supposed to be a pastor, this preacher. This is what I'm supposed to do. He said, if you can do anything else, do it. I said, all right. And then Ken Trivet got up and he said, all right, JC surrendered to preach. He's be preaching tomorrow night. I was like, what the heck? I didn't know what to do. And so Wednesday night at Temple Baptist Church, I think I was probably 14, 15. I preached out of Hebrews, Jesus Christ the same yesterday, today, and forever. And I preached he's unchanging in his love, his friendship, and his power to save. And then I was done. I prayed and it was done. I really think it took like 6 minutes. That's my first sermon. What was yours? Do you remember, Brian? I know you didn't Google it because that wasn't around back then.
Yeah, it was actually, well, yeah. Called studying. But
I just watched Judah Smith and copy his sermons.
it was actually, it was on Goliath. And yeah, there's nothing like, well, I'm not going to even go there. It was on David and Goliath. Actually said something completely wrong in the sermon, and an older pastor corrected me. My big point in the sermon, people with more experience who try to discourage people who have less experience. And Saul, of war from his youth, how discouraging would that have been for David? But it was actually Goliath who had been a man of war from his youth. And so I had the wrong point for the main point.
And that's probably the only thing that guy noticed.
Yeah, I was ignorant.
I hope it's a little bit more exciting than that story.
You see, the natural man can receive spiritual things, so
hey, man,
I'm not offended that you didn't get it.
Oh, man.
Nate, do you remember
somebody asked us, you know what? My first sermon was when I was 5 years old. And I remember it was out of the Psalms. It was out of the Psalms, and that's all I remember. So, yes, I will sign your Bible. Yes, I do sign Bibles, so I don't mind doing that. But someone asked us, what Bible version were you? For me, I'm using the ESV. I'm doing my devotions out of that, my Bible reading, daily reading, and I preach out of the ESV. So, there you go.
I do the New Living Translation. No, NLT.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I thought you said NIV. Sorry.
No, NLT. ESV guy. I love the ESV. I love the fact that the ESV is so thorough. It still reads to me like a Bible, and yet at the same time, it's very relevant. Sure, there's a better translation out there, in my opinion, but on occasion I do, because at times, a verse may be a little clearer in another translation.
I will tell you this. My wife got me a great Christmas present. It's in the ESV. It's Bibliotheca. I think that's how you say it. But it is the Bible in literature form, and it's in the ESV. And that's what I read every day. Coming in, and there's no chapter or verses. It's just the Bible in literature form, and it's in the ESV. And it is a beautiful read for sure.
Well, look, this is not a sponsor. Everybody listening right now, if you want to saturate your life with God's word, that app now, it's only $28 a year, I think, and it's called the Dwell app, DWELL. They have different sure, and they're playing music in the background, the ambient music. It helps me not only fall asleep if I'm restless, but it keeps my mind from wandering. It's amazing how much scripture I can listen to.
Yep.
Just that ambient music in the background. And there have been days, even recently, when I've listened to hours of God's word. I like to hear Felix. I think he's from South Africa. I love to hear him read the Bible. And so I would recommend that everybody check out the Dwell app. It is incredible.
Yeah. We actually fall asleep to that every night. I'll turn my sleep timer on to like an hour and fall asleep. And the kids have started asking for it every night when we go to sleep. It's good stuff. Good stuff for sure.
Yes.
Wow.
I asked if I was laying down on a putting green and who wasn't here at the beginning. Maybe you guys were here at the beginning. Ask if AstroTurf behind me. This is actually a professional backdrop. It's an eyeball. Go look at Amazon.
Somebody said, I'm so glad JC's mom is here. My mom said my first sermon was when I was 5 years old. I stood on the balcony and said, "Repent, sinners, repent." I don't remember. I was there. John Hollyfield, ladies and gentlemen, from the For Freedom podcast. He is in the chat.
You see,
John Hollyfield, how are you doing there? Hey, let's talk about our upcoming episodes that we've got coming up here in what, Nate? I saw you laugh.
JC Uvula is on the chat.
Oh
it's
my
an actual
gosh.
account. Hilarious.
I went into Twitter today to look. There's JC Graves, JC Groves, JC Grooves, JC's Uvula. Some random dude that's non-abortion that's yelling at my kid for loving the chosen, saying we're breaking the 10 commandments. You got that Isaac freak up there that's sexualizing my children. I hate Twitter. It's all right. But guess who's back on Twitter? IFB Sermon Clip.
Oh, yeah.
He never went away. And it's none of us.
Yeah.
Or is it?
Or is it?
Well,
so guys, let me ask you this real quickly.
Let's start in a knot called JC's Beard. I see you, Stephen. That's funny.
So we were talking a few minutes ago what Bible translations we use. What are you guys studying right now, or what have you studied recently that's really been speaking to your heart? Something that's moved you.
I'm a student pastor. I don't really study.
Yeah, me too, Brian. Why do you ask a question like that?
Here's what I've been studying. So we are in a season right now. College ministry is over. Students is coming to an end, and we're going into our student ministry summer. But we sense a real movement that is happening here in Statesboro. You know, my prayer 7-8 months ago when we got here is that God would just move in a real way, that we would see people come to salvation, that we would see lives restored, that we would see people just get into church and fall in love with Jesus. And we're taking this summer and we are praying for revival. We're praying. I don't want to read about it. I don't want it to be man-made, not an emotional thing, not something that you can sing and feel the power move, or something that you can buy, or any man-made movement. Like, we want to see God move. And I've been in Nehemiah and reading about how, he cried over the city walls, and how he was in a certain place, and how his heart was broken, like when his brother came to him when he was serving there, and how he cried over the walls. And I was like, man, when was the last time I cried over souls? Like, when was the last time I literally cried over, and had that brokenness for people in my city? And man, I'm here in a college town. We've got thousands. There's 26,000 plus students 2 miles away from our church. And like, we're reaching 300 to 400, but it's like this little bitty number compared to what we really could be doing. And I'm like, what can we do to help them realize that, getting wasted at a bar on Wednesday night or Thursday night, where there's somebody that wants to just love them exactly how they are, and their identity and their worth. And man, we're just praying for God to move. And like, I'm just very burdened over this city. We've only been here 8 months, and just, it's really become home. And we're just praying for God to move. We're meeting on Wednesday nights. It's called The Gathering. And we're just praying for revival. Like, this is like our Nehemiah time where we're just praying over those broken walls. But here's what you got to understand also about that is Homeboy couldn't just pray about it and cry about it and have a burden for it. He had to put feet to his prayers and get to work. And he like goes and asks for favor to go and fix the walls. And he gets over there and he fixed the walls. And I'm just like, so many times we say we're praying for something, we have a burden for something, but sometimes we got to get off our blessed assurance and do something. And man, we got to get to work. We got to do something about it. And, just sitting around and praying is incredible. It's a powerful tool, but there's also times where we got to get out and we got to do something to it. And I'm not talking about the cheap way out where I handed somebody a piece of paper. I mean, like, building relationships, it's talking, it's doing work in the city. So that's kind of where we're at, Brian. Good question. Nate, what about you?
Yeah, personally, reading through the Psalms right now, I 5 or 6 of the Psalms, but the really stood out on 51, repenting of his sin. Nathan, the prophet, came to him and confronted him in his sin and said, "You are the man," put his finger in his chest and said, "You're the man." And reading through that, you can read through that chapter without being affected. Something wrong with you, spirit, you need to check up, because I was just thinking all things in my life, all the areas of pride, all the areas of of whatever sin struggling with. And there's a list. Brian, I love your posts on Twitter, man. You're talking about all the sins that you struggle with. I mean, that's legit. We all struggle with things, and people don't have to make up sins about us. We all have our own list, and if you know us at all, you know what those are. Just go ask my wife, my kids. They know what they are. And reading through them was just it moved my heart this morning, and I've been thinking on that, meditating on that all day. Then this coming Sunday to preach on Galatians chapter 5, the fruits, the works of the flesh and the fruits of the Spirit. And God just absolutely, we're going through the book of Galatians in our church, and verse by verse, and Chad asked me to preach this week, and I get to preach through that. And we talked on that, I think, the last episode. So, man, God's just been working on me through Galatians, through hearing my preach that, and now studying it myself, man. It's exciting.
I just don't know how Brian lists all of his sins in 160 characters. So,
hey, trust me, I didn't even scratch the surface, brother. But you know, Nate, one thing I love about Psalm 51, and I've preached out of Psalm 51 maybe as much as any chapter I've ever preached out of repeatedly. I love the fact that David was so specific. You know, just reminds us that repentance is not a generalization of our sins. It's not that if I have sinned or if I have failed you, it's, Lord, you know I did this, and I know I did this. Lord, you know I said that. I know I said that. You know I acted in this way. I just love how specific David was. But I've been in Joshua chapter 1. The fact that Moses died, the people were camped on the east side of the Jordan. And the east side of the Jordan was not where they were supposed to be, but the east side of the Jordan was as far as Moses could lead them. And yet he allowed the people to set up camp there. So God took Moses' life. It was time for his life and ministry to end. And then the word of the Lord came to Joshua. And over again, God says to Joshua, be courageous, be of good courage. By the way, just a neat point very quickly. On the east side of the Jordan, you remember Reuben and Gad wanted to stay on the east side of the Jordan. They wanted to remain there, which demonstrated the sin of lust, the sin of lukewarmness, the sin of laziness. They didn't want to fight all the battles. But then when the enemy came, the Assyrians, they were the first to be killed because of where they were. And then here's another neat thing to think about. My dad shared this with me. When Jesus went to the land of the Gadarenes, it was named after Gad. Well, the reason they said they wanted to stay on the east side of the Jordan was because they had cattle, and it was a good land for grazing cattle. But when Jesus set the demoniac free, Legion, the demons went into the land. Isn't it amazing how when we choose to stay in our sin, we always lose lives, and we end up with what is repulsive and disgusting to God. But
come on, man.
Just thinking about the east side of the Jordan, the west side of the Jordan, and God raising up Joshua to champion that cause. And he said, be courageous. And then this is what I love. Not because you're strong, not because you're gifted, not because you're capable. Be with you.
That's
and
so
I'm
good.
just learning that my courage is based on the fact that God is with me always, no matter what.
Amen. I tell you something else I've been reading here over the last few weeks. My kids are getting older. Nate, I know yours are getting there. Brian, they're moving out soon. You know, you got one married already. And I've been in this book, and this is not a promotion of anything. And if you don't like them, I don't care. But there's this book right here called, where is it? It's called It's Just a Phase. Can you see it? There it is. It's called It's Just a Phase. And it's actually pretty depressing when you read through it, because it talks about how many weeks you have with your kids from the time they're born until they're 18 years old. And this book right here called Don't Miss It. I talked about this on the For Freedom podcast, but this one right here, it's by Reggie Joyner and Kristen Ivy. And it just talks about how we're parenting every week like it counts. And, you know, I want I want to make the most of the moments because they're fading quickly, you know. And my mom, she gave me a hug this week. She's on the chat here, but she hugged me because she's like, well, this may be one of the first birthdays I'm not with you, and I can't believe you're turning 39 years old. And I was like, man, what is that going to be like when my kids are turning 39 years old? You know what I mean? And my son is moving into 6th grade this year, and I've been a youth pastor almost 18. Like, I've been doing ministry like 18 years. I'm like, I've finally got one of my kids in there, and to be preaching and to see him sitting on the front row and just like taking in every word, I'm like, man, this is what I've longed for so long. But even when he's like 18 years old, I think I have like, I don't even remember how many weeks it is, but it goes through it. It tells you how many weeks you've got left with it. It's something like 153 weeks left. And when you start realizing, you know, we got to make the most of every moment, it's sobering. It's a little bit depressing.
Yeah.
I love when Brian does that. Last time he did that, somebody's shooting a gun outside of his building. Somebody's shooting, Brian. Are you there by yourself? Somebody's watching you on live and they're going to come in and bust in on you. We were on a live video.
He's got his protection. Oh, I love it.
I'll burn him, man. What I love about that, but I would highly recommend this book called "Don't Miss It." You can find it on Amazon, and they have an exercise you can do where you can get these jars and put marbles in them, and every day or every week you take one out. I had to stop doing it because it was so daggone depressing. I was like, man, I don't want to miss it. But, you know, this past Sunday, we got to baptize my boy, Bubba, and, man,
That's
just
awesome,
what an incredible time. And I took some heat on Twitter from some loony, but he loves the show The Chosen. I don't know if you guys have watched The Chosen at all, but that show, good Lord, that show is really good. And Bubba said, you know what, Dad? I want people to come and see. I want them to come and see what God has done in my life, and I'm getting in this water. And cool story, Nate, you were in my wedding 13 years ago. You remember the song that Kim walked down the aisle to? It was the David Crowder song, Come and Listen. And let me tell you what he's done for us. Let me tell you what good things the Lord has done. And it was just a testimony that we wanted to be doing what he's called us to do. We wanted to raise a family whenever that started. And if we had kids, and good Lord, did we have kids? You know, but we wanted to like raise them to know Jesus. And 13 years later, I'm standing in a baptismal with my little Bubba, and he's wanting us all to wear these shirts, come and see. And I just thought, how awesome is it to watch God's plan just unfold right before us, you know, because I see all these folks in the chat and those that are on the RFP fam, and there's so many stories of folks just ready to throw in the towel and quit. But man, don't give up. God is working, and he might be working behind the scenes, but I promise you, he is doing things you are totally unaware of, but one day you're going to benefit from.
Well, you know, JC, you said a minute ago about discipling your kids or being the right kind of parent in front of your kids. You know, the Bible says, train up a child in the way they should go. You're training them up in the way they will go.
That's right.
Make sure you train them up in the way they should go, because discipleship is happening regardless. You're either discipling your kids in a way that they will draw closer to Christ, or you're discipling them in a way that they're not drawing closer to Christ, and ultimately they may not even care about Christ. And every single day, the most important people who will ever watch our ministry, they're watching us, and that's our families.
Hey, let me ask you two this, because you have older kids. How has your ministry changed from when your kids were younger to where they're at now? Like Nate, I mean, being able to see you and Austin, who's what, 25 now, you know, at the ball game, and I was like, man, that's like, you're just bros. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's like, how has your ministry changed as they grow up and get opinions of their own and start looking at you as dad and a pastor, and I don't really agree with him, and like, is that difficult?
It's different, and I love each stage and each phase that they do go through. But yeah, we've graduated. My older daughter Elena, who's 21, and Austin, who's 24, 25. Hard to keep up, but it's a different phase we're in right now. But both of my kids this past week had a conversation with them on the phone about their stage of life. My son is transitioning into a new job, just graduated with his master's, and we had conversations about wanting to move to Nashville and some of the things going on in his life. And then my called me, and she just got real with me and opened up about some things going on in her life, and I just had an opportunity to give her my perspective as a dad, as a father that loves her, and tell her how proud I was of her and all the things in her life that she's doing right. We all look at our lives and think, man, I wish I was somewhere else. I wish I was a little further down the road. We play the comparison game, and we're a little bit behind some other people that we know.
Yeah.
Able to tell her father, who well as anybody, that there's so many things in her life that she's doing right and how proud I am of her. And we both cried on the phone, and I think we hour and a half. And it was the deepest conversations I've ever had with my daughter, and it was precious. And I love this stage in, but I do miss the younger days when they were your kids' age, JC, and seeing guys and videos at the beach, just in man, soak it in. Every is awesome. Some are and others are way more difficult, but each is amazing. And Brian's got other kids as well, so he understands.
Yeah, I think the thing I love most, JC, at this point is watching all of my children own their faith. All three of my girls, and it's God's greatest gift to me. I mean this. If I never preached to hundreds of people, if I never sang to all the people I never had the privileges I've had, and God gave me the children I have and the relationship that they have with Jesus, that's the greatest gift he's ever given me. And that one gift is enough. But their faith and watching them walk with Jesus and develop, and then seeing too, that they still, just like Nathan's daughter, Elena, who I love dearly. I love that girl. As a matter of fact, she's driven, I think, 9 hours before to come stay a few days with my wife and I and our girls, and we treat her like one of our own. Just watching my daughters walk with Jesus, which all three of them are, and watching all three of them love Jesus and serve Jesus, and then seeing my oldest daughter now as she's discipling her two sisters recently, giving them a devotional book as they're walking through devotions together. And then recently hearing Kelsey, even when she introduces songs, the way God's given her insight and wisdom into the word, just really just means the world.
Yeah.
People ask me why now I don't sing more, why I don't do this more, why I don't do that more. You kid with me about being a grandpa, which I'm not even a grandpa yet.
Yeah. I can't wait for her to have a baby.
Right. But I am at the point where I'm enjoying cheering these younger people on.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying seeing what God's using them to do. And I can't wait for all of them to just leave me in the dust. And I hope when they do, I hope I'm applauding and cheering. Man, I want to pass the baton well. That's one thing we saw in fundamentalism really broken. Guys don't end well. The baton.
Goodness gracious.
Instead of, for thine is the kingdom, it's for mine is the kingdom.
Mm.
And they hold on to it.
Tweet that.
Well, they turn a sanctuary into a cemetery, all at the expense of their ministry and their name and their authority. But guys, let's be honest. Let's pass the baton well. Let's want to do that. That's all.
Dadgum, Brian. I'm tweeting that right now. That's good.
That's good.
Hey, I will
He
tell
stole
you this. I tweeted it on the group thing. I tell you this. I jumped on y'all's live feed Sunday, and I just want to see what Judah Smith sermon you're preaching. And I jumped on there, and Kelsey was singing, and I was like, my goodness, she's really good. Like it's just so genuine. Gifted. And very, very gifted there. And that's one of the episodes we're going to be talking about here in the next couple of weeks. We're going to be talking about worship. Kelsey's going to be on with us. Our worship pastor here at Connection Church, Chase Buchanan with Connection Music, is going to be on. And we've got a special guest coming on the podcast. Brian, who is that? I can't remember his name.
McClarney, man. He's amazing.
Chris McClarney. That dude has written some crazy good songs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about worship, not these 7-Eleven songs, not hymns, but worship. All of it is worship, right? Hymns are worship.
God is an awesome God. from heaven above. Remember that
Sing
one?
it, Brian.
We literally sang that song Sunday. So it's
You
funny.
did?
No, listen, Chase Buchanan and I, we were doing a sound check for our prayer night the other night, and I said, "Hey, let's do a '90s hits." And we sang for an hour. It just did song after song after song. I mean, we were doing "Shout to the Lord" and "Shine Jesus Shine"
Yes.
and like, I mean, we As the Deer, Majesty,
Man,
Sanctuary,
As the
I love
Deer.
you, Lord, above all. Oh, dude, Testify to Love. I mean, we were pulling up basics in life. We were going to town on these '90s songs. And then Sunday, I walk in, and it was just it wasn't on the schedule. It was just the end of a song, and he went, "Our God isn't awesome." And I was like, I'm sitting in the back of the room, and he just looks at me and winks. I was like, he did it. That's incredible. Oh, goodness. So we're going to be talking about worship coming up here in just a few weeks. We're also going to be touching on the subject of alcohol. We're going to that's a two-parter. We're going to give you our stance, how we got to that stance. And then the second part, we're actually bringing on some buddies. Michael, that was at the Braves game. They have a podcast called Beer and Bible, where they drink beer and they talk about the Bible. And obviously they are pro-alcohol, and we're going to come on and talk to them about their stance. And that'll be two really good episodes there. We're going to go back to dress code and talk about standards of dress and things like that, because these guys seem to love to preach about women's dress. And then we're going to hit on porn and sexual purity. If there's one thing that men, pastors, women, people are becoming statistics on daily, it is the area of sexual purity and porn.
Yes.
And we got a buddy of mine from college days, Billy Mills. He's with the Triple X Church, Proverbs Triple X Church or Triple X Church. Crap, I don't remember honestly what the title is, but he's coming on, and he's going to be talking about just this whole area of porn and how it's affecting men and women and students and sexual purity. So those are 4 upcoming episodes that we're going to be recording here in the next few weeks. And guys, I've actually enjoyed doing this live. It's kind of cool. I didn't think we could do
what
it,
I'm going to enjoy?
Not editing.
I'm going to not editing this. It's just going like it is. And I don't know how well it's going to come across in the podcast episode on the actual podcast app, but I've really enjoyed seeing the comments, and I think a few of the people that are watching are enjoying it. So it's been fun.
I mean, we've made it a whole podcast, and Brian hasn't cussed once. This is a miracle.
Wow. Thank you, Lord. That was my prayer before we came
I haven't been flipped off yet.
yeah,
I
whatever.
don't know what to do. We got to stop the video so I can get flipped off so my night's complete. So I'm kidding.
Oh, whatever.
That's how Brian tells me he loves me. I get the international sign of displeasure. I'm kidding, Brian. I love you too.
I love you too. Well, look, I've been driving since before daylight. I love
Go
the
home and go to
RFP
bed.
fam, but man, I think we need to announce our free life soap. And let me say
get outta
be
here.
sweet, and let's call this thing a wrap.
All right.
Let's
Well,
go.
we'll do it. Be sure to check out no, we can't do free life soap yet. We can't.
Why not?
We've
What
got
do we
to
have to do?
thank the patrons of Patreon.
Yes, we
These
do.
folks, these incredible folks that are pouring in the millions of dollars every week, that are keeping our lights on at the house, that are keeping gas going, that keeps the gas coming in our truck. We're not getting rich off this, but these folks are actually doing some incredible work, because they're helping us continue to, it costs to keep the website up. This program that we're using tonight to come live on here, our merch store, shipping and handling, we don't charge for that. There's so many
the
little things.
Hey, the Georgia meetup is a big thing that they're helping take care of, because that's free
The
of
whole
charge.
thing, it is absolutely free of charge. And so our patrons of Patreon are paying for the meetup. And in fact, if you become a patron, there is a code on there that our patrons are all coming for free. And well, wait a second, that's kind of an oxymoron. We said they're paying for it, but they're coming for free. It's like, we're live right now, so here we go.
It's an
Thanks for paying
installment
for your
plan.
way.
Here you go.
Oh, goodness.
Math is
Steve's
hard.
gonna have fun with that. I was a homeschool graduate. That lady in the chat was my teacher. But our patrons are coming for free, and we can't wait to meet these folks. And there's a lot of things in there that are behind the scenes that you guys don't get to see, that help keep this ministry going. And we are so thankful for all of you patrons for supporting us every month. And it's good. You're buying Brian's protective knife collection, and man, it's it's good. I don't know where we're going. We do want to thank Free Life Soap for giving us free soap every once in a while. And go to the recoveringfundamentalist.org, click on the Free Life Soap tab, use your promo code RFP, and get 20% off of your order. And while you're there, click on one of the meetup tabs and reserve your spot. We are capping the South meetup here in Statesboro, Georgia. We're capping that at 100 people. And so you need to jump on that, and it'll be good. Anything in the chat that we need to do? My mom said Calvin. Oh, gosh.
Be
I
sweet.
think we're good, man.
There's too many
Be
things
sweet.
going
There
on.
he goes.
Man, he's ready to get off of here.
He's ready to
Be
go.
sweet.
Brian, everybody
I
thought
can't
you went
leave
to
and
the bathroom.
until I say my line.
Everybody thought you went to the bathroom a minute ago.
No, I didn't.
He
went to
said
get-
he'd been
he went to
sitting in
get
a
a
car
knife.
for 13 hours. So
Be sweet.
You're like my son. He was sleepwalking the other day and peed in the dresser. He thought it was the toilet. Oh, goodness.
oh man, I've got some stories on that, but I'll save it for another time. I was an
Brian,
epic walker.
were you really?
Yes.
Be
That's
sweet.
funny. Can I tell you a story about a guy? And I'm just kidding. I wanted to keep. This is so much fun. I don't want it to end.
Hey, he didn't get to say "be sweet" last week, so he's making up
He
for it
said
this
it
week.
all the time here.
Dudley stole it from him.
Ah,
Sure did.
you know, this is 2
Fucker.
weeks in a row I haven't got to say "let's go."
Ooh.
Hey,
Let's go. I said it.
listen, no. Listen, we got to talk about this. We got tagged in a picture on the RFP fam today of the one dude that bought that incredible
Oh
T-shirt.
my goodness.
That came,
Our
he
awesome
actually wore
T-shirt.
that out in public. Oh, they're like, get your knife. Get your knife.
Brian's
Bad
done.
boy.
He's leaving.
Brian's
He's removing the
delirious.
headphones.
He's hearing things. All right,
He's
we're out of here.
waving.
Say
All
be
right,
sweet.
guys. I guess I'm
Y'all
gonna have
a
to
great
say
week. RFP fam, we
sweet.
love you. Y'all be sure to
Be
check us out
sweet.
on.
it. Peace.
I don't know how to quit. All right, we're out of
Peace.
here. Bye, guys.